Calvin Reed, Victoria Voss's executive assistant, sent me a screenshot of a social media post. Her new male secretary had uploaded a photo, a lunch brimming with elaborate, restaurant-quality dishes. It was the lunch I'd packed for Victoria. The caption read, "Her Majesty the Queen has tamed the instant noodle demon and saved Sir Stomachache." At the same time, Victoria, who almost never posted anything, shared a post of her own. The photo showed a single cup of spicy beef instant noodles. Her caption, "Such a familiar, nostalgic taste." I was grinding my teeth in rage when my mother-in-law called. "Didn't you see she's eating instant noodles? Why didn't you pack her lunch? You know she can't handle spicy food." I called a big box grocery chain immediately. 100 cases of spicy beef instant noodles. Deliver them straight to Voss Corporation. If she was so hungry for nostalgia, I'd give her all she could stand. I'd barely walked in the front door when Calvin messaged me again. It was another screenshot. Miles Shaw, Victoria's new secretary, had posted a photo of the same lunchbox. The dishes were artfully arranged: meat, fish, vegetables. Perfectly balanced. Clearly a home-cooked meal made with care. His caption was the same: "Her Majesty the Queen has tamed the instant noodle demon and saved Sir Stomachache." I stared, confused. How had the lunch I made for Victoria ended up in her secretary's hands? Before I could process it, Calvin sent a second line. "Check social media." I opened the app, and one look was all it took to make my blood boil. Victoria Voss, who posted maybe once a year, had shared a new photo, a cup of spicy beef instant noodles, and a hand wrapped around the plastic fork. Her caption, "Such a familiar, nostalgic taste." That woman. She'd tossed aside the lunch I'd slaved over, given it to her secretary, and eaten cheap instant noodles instead. I was about to call her and demand an explanation when my mother-in-law's name flashed on the screen. I answered, and before I could even hold the phone to my ear, her tirade hit me full force. "Liam, what is wrong with you? Why didn't you make Victoria lunch today? You know her stomach's weak and she can't eat spicy food. How could you let her eat that garbage?" "Mom, I did make her lunch." "You did? Then why is she eating instant noodles?" She cut me off sharply. "I just called her. She said you had a meeting with your editor and forgot to pack her anything. You sit at home writing all day. You don't even set foot in the office. Is making one meal for your wife really that hard?" I didn't bother arguing. I hung up, forwarded her Miles's post, and typed, "See that? Your daughter fed the lunch I worked on to a dog." She went radio silent after that. My chest felt tight, heavy with a cold, sharp anger. I wanted to draw blood. She'd given my lunch to her secretary, posted a public little reply to his little joke, and lied to her mother to make me look like the bad guy. She got to play flirtatious boss with her boy toy, and I got yelled at. She knew spicy food would give her a stomachache. She ate it anyway, because she knew I'd always be there to wait on her hand and foot when she did. Fine. If she loved that familiar taste so much, I'd give it to her. That afternoon, a delivery truck pulled up right in front of Voss Corporation headquarters. The loaders opened the cargo doors and started stacking case after case of instant noodles in the lobby. The receptionist hurried over, flustered. "Wait, stop. You must have the wrong address." I stepped out from behind the truck. She straightened up at once. "Good afternoon, Vice President Hale. No mistake. This is the right place." I nodded at the growing mountain of noodles. "Have someone take all 100 cases up to Ms. Voss's office." I walked straight to the elevator without another word. Up in her office, Victoria stared at the stack of boxes, her face darkening. "Liam, can you stop being ridiculous? I gave him your lunch because he had a stomachache and was already eating instant noodles. We're just boss and employee. There's nothing going on between us. Victoria, cheating isn't just about sleeping with someone. You know exactly what you're doing. You're eating up this little flirtation. You love the way he looks at you like you hung the moon. There are hundreds of people in this company. Would you give away my lunch to every single one of them if they had a stomachache? We've been married this long. Don't think I don't know exactly what kind of person you are. Your mom chewed me out 10 minutes after you posted that. Tell me, how exactly did you tell her?" The office door swung open. Miles walked in carrying 2 coffees. Dressed in a short-sleeve shirt, jeans, and scuffed black sneakers. Bright, easygoing, Earnest everything I'd never been good at. Mr. Hale. Your coffee. I picked up the cup and threw the entire contents directly in his face. He flinched. And instead of stepping back, he stumbled backward into Victoria. She caught him. And her voice sharpened with real anger. Liam Hale. Are you done? This is my company. Not our home. No one is going to coddle you here. I smiled coldly at the two of them. Still half embraced. Hold him tighter. Put a little more effort into it. And Her Majesty might just divorce me. Let Sir Stomachache take the throne. Both of them flushed and jumped apart. I jabbed a finger at Miles. Still dripping coffee. Victoria. You still dare say you don't play favorites. What did he just call me? Mr. Hale. Am I not a vice president of this company? Or did you fire me behind my back? Did you tell him to address me that way? Do you think my position here is useless? Every man in this company wears a suit. White shirt. Dark tie. Even I follow that rule. What's with his little casual uniform? Is he your new hobby? A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face. Like a student caught cheating mid-exam. Don't be absurd. He just hasn't found the right clothes yet. I told him he could wear his own things temporarily. Stop making things up. Hasn't found clothes. He's been here almost a month. Even a pig could buy a suit in a month. I'm done arguing about this. Handle it yourself. I nodded toward the cases lining the hallway. Starting tomorrow. I'm not cooking for you anymore. When you've worked your way through all 100 cases of nostalgia, I'll consider restocking. You don't like my cooking. Right. Then you can live off these. Victoria's jaw tightened. Stop being unreasonable. When did I ever say I don't like your cooking? Oh. So you do like it. I pulled a lunchbox out of my bag. Flipped the lid open. And set it in front of her. Then eat. You said you liked it. She slammed her palm on the desk. Liam. Are you insane? Why is there dog food in here? Lunch for you. You love feeding my cooking to dogs. Don't you? I glanced over at Miles. Still hovering behind her. Sir Stomachache. This humble servant made you dinner. Go on. Eat up. What are you waiting for? Miles stood there soaked in coffee. Head bowed. His face set in some grim, heroic little scowl like he was about to be martyred for the cause. You'd think the CEO had ordered him to throw himself on a sword in the middle of the office. Miles Shaw. If you actually want to marry the CEO, you should know this. Heiresses love pretty boys like you. But they will never, ever marry a whiny little boy who calls them ma'am. If you just want to be her boy toy. Her little secret on the side. Keep playing pretend. See if Her Majesty marries her precious Sir Stomachache. If you want me gone so you can take my place, grow a spine and act like it. I pushed the dog food box across the desk toward him. Eat it. One bite. And Victoria will definitely take your side against me. You'll be one step closer to being her favorite little kept man. You want to climb the ladder. But you're too proud to get your hands dirty. Then you'll always be nothing but a cheap, useless little prick chasing a sugar mama. Miles's face twisted with humiliation. He clearly hadn't expected any of this. Mr. Hale. I may just be a secretary. But I still have dignity. You're insulting me. Ms. Voss and I have never crossed any lines. You're just projecting your own paranoia onto us. Dignity. You don't have a mirror. But you can pee in a puddle. Right. Take a good look at yourself. I laughed. Cold and sharp. Never crossed lines. You've got some nerve. You're a secretary who can't even dress like one. Look at you. If you went to a client meeting like this, would they think you're her assistant? Or her boy toy she brought along to show off? A secretary who eats his boss's lunch and gloats about it on social media. Your job is to solve her problems, not create them. If you actually had any dignity, you'd quit right now instead of standing there spouting nonsense about honor. Hiding behind a woman's skirt like a coward. Enough. Victoria kicked the dog food box across the room. It clattered open. Kibble scattering everywhere. Liam. Don't push your luck. This is my company. And he is my personal secretary. What gives you the right to treat him like this? Kibble rained down around me. I stood perfectly still. Like a statue. And let it hit me. Victoria. I'm giving you two choices. 1. You keep your little Sir Stomachache. And we get a divorce. 2. You fire him. I'll pretend none of this ever happened. And I won't bring it up again. 1 or 2. Your call. No. Her answer was immediate. Unhesitating. This company has rules. No one fires an employee for no reason. I nodded. Fine. I get it. I stood up and walked straight for the door. She chased after me and grabbed my arm. Liam. Stop being like this. Let go of me. I wrenched my arm free. You made your choice. Victoria. What are you hanging on to me for? It's the 21st century. Don't tell me you're keeping a kept man on the side. You gonna promote him to replace me? Or set him up in a little love nest? Liam. Just listen to. Get lost. The first thing I did when I got home was delete Victoria's fingerprint from the smart lock. When you're done with all 100 cases of nostalgia, you can come home. She didn't come home that night. She stayed away on purpose. Late that evening, Calvin messaged me again. Miles had made another post. A Van Cleef Arpels watch glinted on his wrist. Bright and sharp. The caption. A unspoken consolation prize. A little happiness just for your night. I wasn't a VCA client today. But that didn't mean I couldn't be one tomorrow. One phone call. A few messages. And the boutique manager was swearing up and down on the other end of the line. Mr. Hale. Don't you worry. I'll run myself ragged tonight if I have to. I'll get you every last piece you need. By the next morning, every single employee at Voss Corporation had received a gift from their vice president. Every man got the exact same watch Miles had posted about. Every woman got a matching Van Cleef Arpels bracelet. The catch. Everyone had to post a photo to social media with the caption, equal benefits for everyone. A little happiness from the vice president. Against the backdrop of Miles's post from the night before, the entire company turned on him. A few department heads, people loyal to him, left public comments on his post, mocking him openly. Church doves don't kiss crows. And you'll never go hungry where the scraps flow. Others are unspoken fireworks. You're a cheap sparkler from the dollar store. Clothes make the man. And bells make the dog run fast. After that day, the whole company iced him out. A few $1,000s in gifts was all it took to unite everyone. Even the guys who'd once been his buddies started looking at him like he was just some kept boy. Miles couldn't understand it. 1 minute, everyone had envied him for catching the CEO's eye. The next, they were whispering behind his back, calling him a nobody chasing someone way out of his league. That watch, the one he'd imbued with so much meaning, the one that had made him feel like he was finally climbing higher, hit him like a slap in the face. The watch on his wrist became the reason everyone mocked him. The reason he was alone. He showed up at Victoria's office looking miserable. Set the watch down on her desk. Ms. Voss. I appreciate the gesture. But I can't take this. Please take it back. It was the worst fight we'd ever had in our marriage. She stormed home that night and smashed the marble inlaid wedding portrait screen my father had given us. She shattered the pair of hand-thrown porcelain vases I'd made in Limoges. The ones I'd glazed myself and carved our names into. Liam Hale. I never knew you were this petty. Jealous of a secretary. He's just a kid fresh out of college. Do you have to go after him like this? I told you 100 times. There's nothing between us. Why won't you leave him alone? I stood there calmly, staring at the wreckage. Like none of it mattered to me. Nothing between you. I looked her dead in the eye. He has a stomachache. The right thing to do is send him home or tell him to see a doctor. Not use my lunch as a little gift to flirt with your boy toy. That watch is pocket change to you. But it's months of his salary. Why him? Why not everyone else in the company? She folded her arms. Defensive. Because you made him a laughingstock. I bought it to clean up your mess. So he doesn't run his mouth to everyone. I don't need you to clean up my mess. I'm a grown man. I can take responsibility for my own actions. Victoria. Don't act like you're completely innocent here. I know exactly what you're thinking. You see every single one of his posts. You can't tell me you don't know what he's implying. You love this little flirtation where you don't have to commit. You love the way he looks at you. You knew I'd see his posts. You knew it would make me angry. You knew defending him would hurt me. But you let him keep doing it anyway. You even came home and fought with me over him. 2 men fighting over you. Feels good. Doesn't it? Makes you feel wanted. I gestured at the shattered pieces all over the floor. That screen. My dad gave it to us before we got married. That portrait carved into solid marble took almost 3 months to make. Those vases. I learned how to glaze them myself. Worked side by side with a master in Limoges. Carved our names into every inch of them. And that silk fan with jade inlay. With both our names on it. You stepped right on it without a second of hesitation. You destroyed every single thing from our wedding. Now tell me what exactly is that supposed to mean? The fury drained out of her face. Replaced by panic. Liam. Let me explain. No need to explain. I get the message. I grabbed the heavy crystal ornament off the desk beside me. I've got a self-destructive streak. File for divorce. My in-laws showed up at the hospital right after I got stitched up. My head was wrapped in bandages. Layer after layer. I probably looked like some oil-rich prince. Margaret, my mother-in-law, gasped when she saw me. Liam Hale. Are you out of your mind? You hurt yourself like this to threaten us. Why can't you two just talk it out like adults? Does everything have to get violent? I smiled coldly. Relax. I don't hit women. And I'm not trying to blackmail your family with this. What happened? Why did it come to this? I glanced over at Victoria. Picking at her nails in the corner. Why did I hurt myself? You gonna explain? Or should I? She said nothing. Just turned her head away. Fine. I'll do it. I turned to Harold. My father-in-law. Who'd been quiet this whole time. Mom. Actually. All this fighting is because of Dad. He's been keeping something from you. Harold's eyes flicked wide. Me. What could I possibly be keeping from your mother? Dad's been seeing this woman. Mid-40s. He invites her over for dinner when you're not home. Buys her jewelry. I've seen them more than once. He told me not to tell you. Swears they're just friends. Nothing happened. Said I was butting in when I mentioned telling you. Harold's face turned purple. Liam. Is this how your parents raised you? Making up lies about me right in front of your mother. Shut your mouth. Margaret's shout made everyone in the room jump. So that's it. Harold. That's why you've been picking fights with me lately. You've got a little mistress on the side. I stepped in quickly. Holding her back. Mom. Calm down. Dad hasn't actually done anything besides take her to dinner and buy her gifts. I can promise you that. Nothing more. That's still too much. Her face was bright red with rage. Having the thought is bad enough. Cheating is cheating. There's no physical and emotional difference. Betrayal is betrayal. Big or small. Mom. You have to think about the big picture. You're not gonna divorce Dad over something this small. Are you? Besides. It's his first mistake. Just forgive him. Forgive him. Why the hell would I forgive him? She glared. If I let this slide, I'll be packing my bags to make room for that little tramp. Harold sputtered. Don't listen to him. There is no other woman. He's lying to you. Margaret opened her mouth to yell again. And I nodded quickly. Right. Right. There is no other woman. I made all that up. They both froze. What? You made it up? Yep. All of it. Dad doesn't know any woman like that. I jabbed a thumb at Victoria. Who was trying to shrink into the hospital bed. But the stories about your daughter. Your daughter gave the lunch I made her to her secretary. Ate instant noodles herself. Then bought him a brand new luxury watch. I told her to fire the little leech. And she refused. Insisted on keeping him around as her personal secretary. I had the company give him a little hard time. And your daughter blew up at me. Just now. She came home and smashed the entire place to pieces to defend him. Every single thing from our wedding. Destroyed. You tell me coincidence. Or is she trying to tell me something? I looked at Margaret. Still stunned. Mom. You couldn't even stand hearing about it when you thought it was happening to you. But now it's your daughter. And it's worse than the story I told. You're not gonna tell me to be the bigger person, are you? Margaret's face drooped. Looking for all the world like a sad Shar-Pei. Even after all that. Victoria refused to divorce me. Liam. I know I messed up. But I promise it'll never happen again. Just give me one more chance. Please. Fine. Then tell me how you're gonna fix this. She hesitated. I'll transfer him to another department. He won't be my secretary anymore. Is that good enough? I laughed. Cold and bitter. And stood up to leave. Goodbye. Victoria. I walked straight out of the hospital room. Margaret chased after me. Grabbing my arm. Liam. Don't be so stubborn. We can work this out. I wrenched my arm free. Work what out? If Dad brought that woman into the house as a maid. Would you work it out? If she didn't have feelings for that boy, would she be this desperate to keep him? Mrs. Voss. There's nothing left to say. Your daughter and I are done. If you've got time, go ask that little boyfriend of hers if he wants my job as son-in-law. I quit. I turned and walked away. The elevator doors slid shut right before she could reach me. And her voice faded away. 3 days later, I boarded a plane out of the country. Before I left, I dragged everything of mine out of the house, piled it in the yard, and burned it all to ash. My dad clapped me on the shoulder before I boarded. Son, whatever path you choose, I've got your back. I've got everything set up over there. Once you finalize the deal, I'll have your mom bring the contracts and the corporate seal over. Don't you worry. If the Voss family dares show their faces at our house, I'll break their legs. The plane climbed into the clouds. I stared down at the city shrinking away, and sighed. Before I left, I'd almost caved. Almost decided to give her one last chance. But right as I reached for the front door of the house, I heard Miles laughing inside. It was loud, smug, heavy enough to press my hand back down from the doorknob. I peered through the window. Miles was sitting on our living room couch, grinning, feeding sliced apple to Victoria one piece at a time. Margaret sat across from them, grinning so hard her face crumpled like a wrinkled asshole. What a handsome young man. So thoughtful and sweet. So much better than Liam Hale. No wonder our Victoria likes him. Miles chuckled. Modest. You're too kind. Mrs. Voss. I'm just Ms. Voss's secretary. I could never compare to Mr. Hale. Compare. That Liam has no manners at all. All he does is make me angry. Can't even take care of his own wife. If it weren't for the business between our families, I'd have made Victoria divorce him ages ago. Victoria stared down at her lap, her face unreadable. Mum. Stop it. I'm never divorcing Liam. Miles's hand slipped. The apple slice fell to the floor. Oops. I'm sorry. Ms. Voss. I'm so clumsy. Victoria looked up at him. And there was something soft in her eyes. It's fine. Just clean it up. Outside the window. I turned and walked away. There was no more hesitation in me. I spent a full year overseas. Calvin sent me updates on Victoria every few weeks. The company ran fine. She showed up to work every day. Everything looked normal. Everything except Miles. He made mistake after mistake. But someone always took the fall for him at the last minute. So he kept climbing. Secretary. To assistant. To special assistant. To assistant to the vice president. Calvin said if I'd come back a month later, HR would probably have been knocking on his door about it. I never see anything inappropriate between Ms. Voss and him. But what happens in private? I don't know. And I won't guess. He's moving up way too fast. You've been gone so long. People are starting to talk. Some of the brown-nosers are already calling him the junior VP behind your back. Oh. And Ms. Voss goes back to the family estate every weekend. Miles goes with her. Doesn't stay the night. Though. I knew Calvin was miserable. If I hadn't asked him to keep an eye on things, he would have quit long ago. Don't push yourself. I've already got a spot for you at Hale Industries. Executive Vice President. Whenever you want out. Just quit and come over. He sent back a smirking emoji. Knew you were coming back. I handed in my resignation yesterday. I sent back a handshake emoji. Welcome to Hale Industries. Vice President Reed. I closed the chat and pulled up Victoria's messages. She'd called me hundreds of times that year. I'd ignored every single one. Eventually she called less and less. For the last 3 months. Barely at all. She knew I had people in the company. And she'd still promoted Miles, who was terrible at his job, all the way up to executive assistant. Which meant she didn't care if I knew. There were only 2 explanations. Either she was done with me entirely. Or there really was nothing between them. Just boss and employee. But she'd been careless. I didn't have anyone inside the Voss family estate. But Calvin did. I stared at the empty message thread and typed 2 lines. I'm back. You've got 2 days. Get all his things out of the house. If I find anything that shouldn't be there, I won't be responsible for what happens next. The reply came instantly. The status bar sat on typing. And cheating on you. For a full minute. Then finally. Okay. I understand. My dad picked me up from the airport himself. I stayed at my parents' house for 2 days, walking him through everything I'd closed overseas. On the third afternoon, I drove back to the house. First, though, I stopped by the Voss family estate. I still had a room there. There were things I needed to pick up. I pushed open the front door. And there they were, Victoria, Harold, Margaret, all sitting at the dining table having dinner. The 4 of them looked like one big happy family. Miles was sitting in my seat, telling some story that had Margaret cackling. He already acted like he was the son-in-law. My arrival caught all of them completely off guard. Margaret and Miles froze mid-smile. Victoria shot to her feet, looking guilty as sin like a kid who'd snuck a stray dog into the house and got caught. Harold barely reacted. He was severely nearsighted and never wore his glasses. 5 feet away. He couldn't tell a man from a woman. 10 feet. And he couldn't tell a person from a cow. When he realized it was me, he just looked annoyed and said nothing. Hey. Having dinner. I walked right past the table, plucked a peeled shrimp straight out of Victoria's bowl, and popped it in my mouth. Casual. Like I'd been there that morning. Don't mind me. Just came to grab some things. I'll be out of your hair in a minute. I ignored all of them and went upstairs to my old room. I stuffed everything from the drawers into a bag and turned to leave only to find Victoria blocking the doorway. Liam. I stepped around her gently. No need to explain. She reached out and grabbed my wrist. Her eyes were shiny. Broken. Honey. I missed you so much. I didn't pull away. I just patted her shoulder. Let go. Your boyfriend's watching. She froze, then glanced over her shoulder. Miles was standing at the top of the stairs, watching us. Embarrassment flushed across her face. Honey. Listen to me. It's not what you think. It's fine. You bring him to the estate every weekend. I know all about it. I cupped her cheek lightly. Smiled a polite, empty smile. I said no need to explain. I walked straight downstairs and past Miles without even glancing at him. I made it outside and got in my car. But Victoria chased after me. Honey. Wait. She wrenched the door open before I could lock it. Liam. You have to lease. She stopped dead. Her face went blank with shock. She stood there holding the car door, staring at the passenger seat like she'd seen a ghost. What? What is this? A contract lay flat on the seat. The Sword and Shield logo of the supplier was printed clearly on the cover. Oh. This. I picked it up and waved it at her, smiling faintly. Satisfied. This is the raw material supply contract I finalized. From now on, Hale Industries is the exclusive North American distributor. Igavahad. Cold little smile. Relax. I'll keep supplying Voss Corporation at our original price. Can you close the door for me? Thanks. Victoria lost it. She got in her car and tailed my SUV all the way back. Harold and Margaret followed right behind her. Miles's red Ferrari brought up the rear. Bright and ridiculous. I ignored the whole little convoy. I let them follow me all the way to the house. When we got there, I didn't bother with any of them. I went straight upstairs to take a shower. Before I did, I left the signed contract sitting casually on the living room table. When I came back down, Harold and Margaret were pacing back and forth across the living room. Antsy. Unable to sit still. Victoria grabbed my arm the second she saw me. Liam. What is this? What is what? This contract. What's going on with this contract? I told you. I spent the whole year overseas working on this. It took forever to lock it down. Don't worry about it. I'll keep supplying Voss at our old rate. Liam. Don't be ridiculous. Margaret was frantic, even while she was yelling at me. Her eyes never left the contract on the table. You're gonna run Voss Corporation into the ground with this. Well, I guess wisdom comes with age. Why didn't I think of that? She wrung her hands. Desperate. Liam. You and Victoria are married. Your father and I have always thought of you as our own son. You can't do this to us. When did I say I was going to run you into the ground? No. Words aren't enough. You have to put it in writing. I won't feel safe otherwise. Harold nodded vigorously. She's right. We need some kind of guarantee. Margaret reached for me, and I stepped back. Don't act like we're family. Your daughter and I are getting a divorce. Both of them snapped their heads toward Victoria. She shook her head wildly. Liam. When did I ever agree to a divorce? Since you decided to keep that boy toy around. The front door slammed open. My dad walked in. Face like thunder. Looking at the Voss family like he wanted to tear them apart. This house was my gift to my son. This is my property. You people are not welcome here. Get out. Margaret didn't dare talk back now. Thomas. Let's talk about this. The kids are just having a little fight. There's no need for divorce. No need. My dad's voice was sharp as a knife. Where were you when your daughter was parading that boy around? Where were you when my son was feeding your company Hale family contracts? Now my son comes back with the exclusive North American distribution rights. And what do? He jabbed a finger at the red Ferrari parked outside. You show up at my house with your daughter's little boyfriend. Begging for favors. Real classy. The Voss family. Victoria. You're still married to my son. You bring that boy to my house making demands. Do you think I'm dead? Victoria looked desperate. Like she was about to get on her knees. Dad. Let me explain. My dad marched forward. Herded all three of them toward the door. I don't want to hear it. Get out. Move it. And don't come back. Right before he slammed the door. He glared at them through the crack. Remember this. You want raw materials. Fine. But cross me. And I'll have your whole family begging on the streets before the week is out. That night, Victoria tore into Miles right there on the driveway. Screamed at him until he got in his car and drove off. Calvin told me later that HR had rejected Miles's resignation. Told him to stay on as executive assistant. He'd refused anyway. He said Victoria transferred Miles to the business division. And replaced all her personal secretaries with women. Calvin was curious about what I'd do next. You gonna forgive her? Hell no. My answer was instant. No hesitation. Late affection is worth less than dirt. If she'd done this a year ago, maybe I'd have considered it. But now, it means nothing to me. I don't eat leftovers. The house became a magnet for Harold and Margaret. Terrified I'd cut off their supply. They showed up every other day. Fishing for reassurance. I'm rude. I'm ungrateful. I have no manners. So it only makes sense I don't let you in. Right. Margaret looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Guaranteeing your supply isn't impossible. But I have one condition. What is it? Name it. I slid a stack of papers across the table. I want a divorce from Victoria. She signs the papers. And not only do I guarantee the supply, I'll give Voss a discount. Fair deal. Right. They went quiet. Stared at the divorce papers. And all the color drained out of their faces. But before Victoria ever signed, Miles called me out of nowhere and asked to meet. We met at a cafe. He was wearing a proper black suit. Tie neat. With that tired, worn-out look office workers get. His life at the company had gone to hell. The former junior VP was now the company joke. That he hadn't quit already took either a lot of pride, or no shame at all. He didn't even bother with small talk. Why? Why did you have to come back? If you'd stayed away, I would have been married into the Voss family soon enough. You only win because you're the husband. Because you were born rich. You'd never beat me fair and square. She was this close to falling for me. I smiled. Dismissive. Beat you? Who said you were ever a competitor? You think way too highly of yourself. Weren't you the one saying you loved Victoria for who she was? That you didn't care about a title? Why are you in such a hurry to move up now? His face twisted with rage. You don't know anything. Liam Hale. You were just born lucky. Why do you get to marry Victoria? While I have to scrape by. Fighting just to get her to notice me. I worked so hard. I owe so much money, payday loans. Gambling debts. I was this close to winning her over. Why did you have to come back now? This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, I'd be Mr. Voss by now. You deserve to suffer. Victoria deserves to suffer. All of you do. I smiled and tapped my phone on the table. Hear that? He followed my gaze. Victoria was standing just outside the cafe window. He ran outside. Stammering. Trying to explain. But the anger and disgust on her face only grew. Get out of my sight. If I ever see you again, you'll regret it. Miles ran. Scurried away like a rat. Terrified by the look on her face. Victoria turned to me. Eyes full of apology. Liam. I'm so sorry. I cut her off. I told you. No need to explain. Everything you just said to him. That's exactly what I want to say to you. Victoria. Stay away from me. Just looking at you makes me sick. Since she refused to sign, I filed for divorce. I sold off my shares in the joint venture. Let the whole thing become a Voss subsidiary. It was my dad's idea. We hold all the cards now. That dead weight of a company. Let it drag them down. Even if it doesn't break them. It'll keep them on their toes. It's about pride. Not profit. I didn't care much about the Voss family's business. But getting divorced. It felt like a weight off my chest. Harold and Margaret, terrified I'd tear up the contract, kept pushing Victoria to win me back. One way or another. Calvin told me what happened to Miles. Later. He moved to another city and did the same thing all over again. This time he landed a rich older woman. Became her kept man. Turned out she was into rough stuff. One night she went too far and blinded him in one eye. Then she dumped him. Paid him a few $1,000s and sent him on his way. Meanwhile, Victoria kept trying. Again and again. To get me back. I never said yes. I know you never slept with him. But that doesn't mean you didn't cheat. You let that man taunt your own husband. To me. That's unforgivable. I married you because I loved you. I'm divorcing you because I'm done letting you hurt me. It doesn't matter if you love me back or not. When she realized I wouldn't budge, she swore she'd never marry again. That she'd wait for me forever. I didn't care if she meant it or not. It didn't have anything to do with me anymore. Voss Corporation never recovered. They turned down every big order that came their way. Terrified I'd cut their supply and leave them ruined. Victoria was miserable. She got on her knees and begged me more than once. Begged me to take her back. She probably regretted every single choice she'd made. But I didn't care anymore. Endless forgiveness only breeds stray dogs. And when you can't put a dog down, a good, hard kick is the only answer.